What's good, YouTube? Today we have an Outlaw Rogue gameplay for you guys. We got a plus 12 quarter stars. So quarter stars was a dungeon that just came up this weekend. Unfortunately, if you have been in any of the streams, for some reason since Mythic Plus came up on last Friday, I'm recording this on Tuesday, I've had ridiculous MS on the beta. Like, it's ranged from anywhere. Normally I'd get like 150 MS, which would actually be okay and actually usable. I wouldn't complain about that, but it's been ranging anywhere from 200 to 5,000 MS. So I haven't really been able to play Mythic Plus on the beta this weekend, which has been quite annoying. So you just see there me hovering over the MS in the bottom right, and I think I was on about 250, 300, so I was getting a little bit of lag during this dungeon. So normally for this dungeon you'd want a rogue or a demon hunter to sap or imprison this mob, and then you will just run past it because it's not worth fighting just this one mob. Got a lot of experience with this dungeon back from Legion. I completely messed up one of our highest keys, which I'm sure there will be memes about in the comments, so I'm looking forward to that. But yeah, I used to love this dungeon back in Legion, so we're going to get into it here. These guards, they run over to these no, sorry, it's not the guards, it is, can't remember the name, but I will see in a second. There is a mob that runs over to these beacons that we're stood next to here and tries to alert other mobs in the dungeon. So what you want to do is you want to stun and kill and like use any CC so that he doesn't get the cast off before he does that, and then you want to disable that beacon after you've killed the pack around it. I'm guessing somebody does it after, because the more beacons that are up on the first boss, you actually have a add wave, which is related to how many beacons are up. Sorry, so the more beacons you have up, the more mobs you're going to get, and they cast an ability called Hinder, which is a single target stun, which is going to get a bit hairy for your group, that is for sure. We've got the Guardian constructs here. They cast Charging Station, which I don't believe heal themselves, but they do heal other mobs that stand in the little AoE cloud that they put down. Duskwatch Sentries, that is what they are called. So you see he's running over to the beacon there. It says he's been alerted by our presence, so he's going to go and try cast. Is he going to cast it? No, we just killed him before. But basically just signals off the beacon. So there's 3 of them in the starting area. There's another one. There might even be another one, to be fair. There's 3 or 4. So yeah, you just want to either like kidney shot, there we go, sound alarm. So you just want to interrupt that. A lot of the abilities in this dungeon now seem to be kickable. So for example, in the like latter area of the dungeon, when you're killing the enforcers, for some reason you can now kick the failed detonation, which is just a massive AoE, which you used to have to line of sight because it would just kill your whole group if you let it go through, especially on higher keys. But for some reason it's kickable now. I don't know if that's an intentional change or if it's because it's the beta. I don't know if that was the case in Time Walking when we had it back in Shadowlands. So let me know what the vibe is with that, because it seems a bit like a non-ability now. If you can just kick it, it's a long cast time, so you're not going to miss the kick. So yeah, you could just kick it and you haven't really got to deal with that anymore. I noticed then the sound alarm, I don't think that used to be kickable either. I think you used to have to stun that mob or deal with him in other ways. For like Outlaw Rogue is just the dream for it, or Rogue in general. Now you've got the gouge, kidney shot, cheap shot, blind. I mean, you just have so much utility as an Outlaw Rogue. So we're pumping the numbers here. Actually I was going to say we're pumping the numbers, but if you look at that overall, it's a little bit scuffed. The tank is currently on top. Prop highlight is broken. Is that going to be the title of this video? Who knows? But we do eventually take over, so do not worry. So as a rogue for this first boss, you see the little poison, the little file on the counter there. As a rogue, or if you're an alchemist, you can go and poison this flask of Solemn Night, and then once the boss hits around 30%, I think it is, he goes and drinks it, and if you poisoned it, he just dies instantly, so you can literally just move on straight away. If not, then he gets a haste and damage buff, I believe. So you definitely want to have an alchemist. There's a lot of like quirks or gimmicks with this dungeon, but I kind of enjoy it for that. For example, with those big old sentry guys, the ones that cast the charging station, if you have an engineer in your group, just before this bridge we've come over here, you can go and disable all of them in the little room there. So these are the ads that I was talking about. They cast Hinder, which you definitely want to kick or stun, because that is just going to stun like one by one your whole group. You just want to cleave them down. They're not too much to deal with, but you definitely do not want to let them overflow and keep on coming. You just got to dodge all the shit on the floor basically, and then he casts an ability called Arcane Lockdown, where you need to make sure you jump 3 times. Every time you jump, it removes a debuff, and you have 3 of them. And yeah, so there we go. So I got to jump once more to get rid of that buff. I don't know if I realized. There we go. I don't even think I jumped intentionally then. I think I just did it out of my little ADHD brain. So there you go. The boss dies at like 20 or 30% is something along those lines. These are the constructs, that I was talking about. These get disabled if you have an engineer in your group. Obviously, you would need to make up the percent elsewhere, but these mobs are just, they have a lot of health and they're not really worth it for 4%. So as you go up higher in the keys, you definitely want to as you go up higher in the keys, you definitely want to try and skip these mobs, because they're just so much more efficient counting dungeon. So we're going to run around here, and then we come into the next part of the dungeon, which is definitely the more sketchy part of the dungeon. As you see, we've taken over on the overall now, finally. We're not all losing to the tank, which was bloody sad, I'll tell you that. So yeah, it's a bit of a long route round here. I've seen some people trying to, like, I don't know if it's just an evoker thing, but an evoker in my key the other day was trying to actually jump over the gate at the start with like double jump and stuff like that. I think I'd die here because of the ice storm. As a rogue, I should be stunning the ice storm there, but I didn't think I'd need to. I did forget it was fortified, to be fair, because a lot of the keys on the beta I've been doing have just had thundering or no affixes on. Like my last Hunter video had no affixes on, which was a plus 15. So if you've got a stun or like any disorienting ability, you definitely want to stun that ice storm cast, because that does some big damn. As you can see, I stood in the charge smash. That never helps, does it? So yeah, but the ice storm does do some considerable damn, so you definitely want to interrupt that as much as you can. And then I don't know if you just saw the pack of imps running around there, and we had some imps around this mob as well. So they're going to cast single target firebolts, and then they're going to do a channel cast. All of these casts are kickable, but the drifting embers is the channel cast, and that is going to do big AoE damage. So you just want to nuke these imps. They don't have much health, so they are quite a fun little pack to kill. I believe there's like maybe 8 of them. So he just gets one shot there, our evoker. So that's not ideal, but yeah, if you're unlucky and the RNG gods are against you, you are just probably going to get one shot by those firebolts. So, for example, a Pally with an Avenger shield, I'm guessing that still interrupts, not too sure on that. Or a Shadow Fury from the lock would have been nice. I'm guilty of seeing that many mobs with that many casts and just not even bothering to kick one, because I'm like, if it's going to kill me, it's going to kill me, regardless of whether I kick or not. So these are the main kind of mobs in the second part of the dungeon, the Fell-bound enforcers. So your tanks, we used to tank these next to a corner, so you saw the Fell detonation cast there. Normally you would run around the corner for that cast, because you didn't used to be able to kick it. And that is just going to put a massive dot on the whole of your group or anybody in line of sight. So you definitely want to be kicking that, or if they do change it, try and LOS that cast, because it will be the death of your group. Once you kill these enforcers, one of the mini bosses that are around the second boss get alerted and then run to where the Fellbound enforcer died. So there's 3 different mini bosses. The first, I don't know if they're in a particular order, to be fair, but the first one we have here is the Shivara. So this is going to do a Whirling Blades cast, which, as an Outlaw Rogue, I feel like you might be able to just stand right on the edge of this circle and still DPS. See, I almost walked straight back into it because I was trying it. But you don't seem to lose too much downtime as an Outlaw Rogue. I think you should, yeah, you definitely should be able to evasion that cast as well. But other than that, there's not much to do with this boss. Maybe there's a bit of tank dam to deal with. Get rid of my thundering buff there. So yeah, I asked a minute ago if we were meant to be able to kick that failed destination, and he said, I assume it's from Legion time walking in Shadowlands, so maybe they changed it for that. I'm not too sure. So as you see on the mini map in the top right, it alerts you where these enforcers are, so you don't have to run around like a headless chicken trying to find it. So you just run over to here. Obviously, like I said, you want to kick this mob, and then it's going to spawn the next mini boss. There are, like I said, with the gimmicks, different professions, different races, etc., have little different interactions with items on the floor in this dungeon. So I know as a hunter, there definitely used to be, but I was struggling to find it on my hunter in the key I did. There is a trap on the floor that you can lead one of the mini bosses to, and it just instantly one-shots the mini boss. So that's a huge time save, because these mini bosses do get a little bit tanky on the old high keys. So as and when you can use that, you definitely want to get a hold of that. But I couldn't find it. It's normally to the right of me here, but I couldn't see it for shit when I was on my hunter. So this guy is gonna fixate on one person and cast Disintegration Beam, which is going to reduce your casting or attack speed, and it's going to do some considerable damage as well on that. But again, kickable. It never used to be kickable. So you see here on the floor, I thought because it was shiny, I was able to press it, but there's loads of different interactions with that. I also see in the background there used to be a fell orb there, which demon hunters could use to gain the whole group like 10% crit or something like that. So maybe they're just not working, or maybe they've changed them at the moment. I'm not too sure. So these imps patrol around this sort of area. I completely forgot, just turned my back to them. But we seem to deal with them quite nicely. I'm pumping on the old Outlaw there, just got taken over by the lock with the old Soul Flame probably. But a nice little 50k. We're leading the old overall on the DPS. I was having a blast on Outlaw in this dungeon, to be fair. First time playing with Shadow Dance as Outlaw, which was definitely interesting, but it felt pretty cool. I personally thought it was going to feel a lot clunkier than it did feel, to be fair. But I'm guessing, obviously I'm not too well versed on the Outlaw, especially with Shadow Dance, but I am assuming that I just want to be ambushing while I'm using Shadow Dance, because that's probably going to give me count the odds procs, which is obviously the chance to get extra buffs from my roller bones. There we go. I didn't have my roller bones buff for a second there. So with that shockwave, I don't know if it's in front and behind the mob when he casts it, because I was definitely stood behind the mob then, but I got stunned by it. So unsure what was happening there. Maybe it's just like a little latency error. I'm not too sure on that. So we're killing the last mini boss here, and then we can finally go to the last boss. We'll probably get some more percent just before we do that. I can't remember what the vibe was with this key, and I also don't know. We'll see now. We'll take note. 88%. I don't know how much percent these mini bosses actually give, but he's about to die now, so we will see. He didn't give any percent. Don't know if that is intentional. That seems a little bit short. But yeah, again, the Ice Storm you want to kick Searing Glare. Sorry, you don't want to kick Ice Storm, you want to stun Ice Storm. Kick Searing Glare. The Shadow Mistress casts Bewitch, which you also want to get kicked as well, but it's not that imperative. You definitely, I believe Searing Glare is actually a pretty scary ability. So yeah, so onto the boss. I believe we wipe, no spoilers, on this boss the first time we do it. I know that I fucked up on it. I think it was my second time running this dungeon, so I was a bit rusty with it. But you want to definitely kick that Withering Soul. And then for Infernal Eruption, you're going to want to stack up, because wherever you are is going to put a pool on the ground, and then the imp's going to spawn from there. It's the same imps as before. You just want to cleave them down, kick them where you can, stun, whatever you want to do. Make sure, again, you're kicking the Withering Soul, because that's just going to put a permanent dot on your whole group, which is going to tick you down. Definitely get scary even at one stack on higher keys. So here we go. Oh, a panic cloak then, which is a mistake, because I've got a knee cloak in a second, I know. Oh, and we've pulled... I don't actually know how we pulled this trash here. That is definitely interesting, because we were all inside, I'm pretty sure. maybe if you go back in the video, you might be able to see maybe one of the ranged heads out this way and accidentally pulls them. But yeah, it is going to be a wipe on this key. I know, not on this key, on this boss. I know I get thrown around like a little bowling ball here. I literally hit one eruption, there you go, into that one and back again. Oh, and he's dead. So proper cheap death there, but it didn't save me. I was actually pumping there, 60k, not too shabby. Obviously, it's just passive cleave for the Outlaw Rogue, got the Blade Flurry rolling. I don't actually think I used my Keep It Rolling buff, which if you see down the bottom is on my Shift F keybind, which actually extends my Roll the Bones duration by 30 seconds. I haven't had a 5 buff on the beta yet, which is very interesting. I don't know what's going on there. I need my 5 buffs to get that dopamine hit. So we're going to wait for a res from the Evoker. No, we're not. We are just going to run back because I realised that he was resing the other guy. One thing to note as well, which is very interesting, is Pala's. I don't know if it's all Pala specs, but one of the boys I was playing with the other day, shout out to Hardbite. I know you'll be watching because it's the Court of Stars key. Apparently Palas now have a combat res, which seems insane to me. That's PogChamp for the old Paladin class, that is for sure. So we're just going to do our single target rotation here. Not too complex with the Outlaw Rogue. I don't know what it is about this. I guess it's the different... Every time you roll the bones, you have slight variances and nuances to your playstyle, which I guess makes it harder. We let the Withering Soul kit go through there. So it's put the buff on us. Oh, we got MD'd by the priest, so that's obviously very nice to have a priest in your group for this boss. Infernal Eruption, again, we seem to be absolutely blasting this boss compared to last time. Like, we've been fighting it 40 seconds and it's already like 30%. That's mental. I don't know what's going on there, because like none of us are even pumping. The prop pal is just absolutely carrying us. I don't know if prot is just doing insane damage or this guy's just a beast. I'm pretty sure I've done a few keys with a beta on with the Rob F. I definitely recognize that name. But yeah, other than the Roll the Bones buff, Outlaw rotation is pretty simple because it's pretty much just Sinister Strike and Dispatch spam. As far as I'm aware, keep up Blade Flurry, keep up Slice and Dice. So here you're going to want to get Costume and run into the little estate, I'm going to call it. I don't know actually what this place is called. But you see the yellow dots on the map here. You're going to want to go and speak to all the people that are marked as yellow dots. They'll have a little speech bubble above their head and they will give you a clue. You can get an add-on called Big Wigs or Little Wigs, which will automatically fill out what the clue is that they give you. So I had to type it out manually here. So the guy is a male. He has potions. We're going to see what other clues we get. But your boy's a Cluedo master, so we get gloves. Oh, he's realised. Is it this guy? I almost ran straight past him. Click on him. Let's not be hasty. That's how you know you got it. That is the speech line he says. So, absolute gamer gets it within bloody 20 seconds of being in here. What bloody gamer? Rob F called me a gamer. Appreciate that. So whichever way he walks up the stairs, whether it's the right or left, means he will go to that side. And then the guy actually turns into a little mini boss. Your tank's going to want to face the mini boss away because he does a carrion swarm. And yeah, it's basically he casts a single target spell called Cripple, which is just a kick again. When he first spawns in, he's going to knock your group back if you're close. But other than that, it is just single target, nuke the little mini boss down, and wait for it. Remember to pick up the key. Back in Legion, it will be a meme in the comments, I'm sure. Me and the boys were doing a plus 23, which is our highest ever key for Legion, which was actually pretty big back in the day. I think the highest people were sort of doing was 27s maybe. And I was tanking. It's normally the tank's job to pick up the key. Your boy forgot to pick up the key because I was too excited to get to the last boss and time the key because we were running low on time. So we all ran back to the big door that we need the key to actually unlock, funnily enough. And we all just stood there like headless chickens, wondering why the door was not opening. And that was because your boy ran back. So I had to I was playing a Vengeance Demon Hunter at the time, had to bloody Infernal leap back and then take the gateway back. And then, yeah, we failed to keep by like 30 seconds. So that was an L for your boy. So last boss here, Advisor Melandris. So he's got a few abilities he's going to cast. He's going to target normally a ranged player with Blade Surge. He's going to run out and do like an AoE. It's clearly marked on the floor, so you'll be able to jump out of that one pretty safely. There's the Blade Surge, so he's going to dash over there. I shadow step to him. You want to time those shadow steps well, because otherwise you might be shadow stepping into the actual Blade Surge. Again, with the Blade Surge, he's going to do another cast called Slicing Maelstrom, which is just going to, this one is going to be ticking AoE damage. So as a rogue, you want to use like Feint, like I have here. I used it very late though, but that's because it wasn't doing too much damage. And this is the last one, Piercing Gale. So all the clouds and all the images of him are going to send out like an AoE pulse damage. It is very hard to see. I don't know if it's my graphics that are just low or it's just hard to see in general, but that is definitely the cause of most wipes on this boss, is not being able to see that or standing in maybe the clouds. I think these circles and clouds on the floor stun you. Look, again, I get hit by it then, but you literally cannot see on the floor. I don't know if it's like, maybe it's from where he is, it lines up, it goes to like every circle or something. I've literally just thought about that on the go. You'd think I know by now, by how many, I probably ran this key over 100 or 200 times in Legion, so I should definitely know that by now. Get the slice and dice rolling again. And yeah, we're just going to finish off the boss. So I was wondering where I was off to then, but I was clearing the old Thundering buff. So yeah, you don't want to stand near these images as well, because they will do an AoE and it hurts. And the more images that he has out, the more damage that Slicing Maelstrom does, I believe. So obviously you are kind of against the clock on the old timer, because you want to kill the boss before there's too many images out, and you're just going to like completely die, because it's going to be too much damage for your healer to heal. So we're finishing off the Dungeonaire. We got a 35k overall, which isn't too shabby. I haven't played too much Outlaw, and I'm not min-maxing with like my gear and stuff. I didn't have that new broken trinket on, obviously. And then yeah, the overall breakdown was a Blade Flurry 30% dispatch, but yeah, a lot of your damage is going to come from Blade Flurry as the Outlaw Rogue. There is my talents. But yeah, appreciate you guys watching. Let me know what kind of classes you want to see for next time. I know that I've got a few Hunter gameplays to get to you guys, and a Boomy one as well, I think. So yeah, like, comment, subscribe, and we'll catch you later.